What's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel. In this video today for the First Descendant, we're actually going to be looking at an interesting development which has been happening over the last couple of days on the official The First Descendant Discord channel, where the game director as well as some of the developers have actually come onto a channel and proceeded to start answering all kinds of questions. Pretty much it was open to everybody. People could just come in and drop their questions, and these guys would take time out of their schedule. By the way, big props to them. Some of these questions these guys were answering like at 2 o'clock in the morning on their way home on the train or something like that. So it was really impressive to see this level of investment and kind of like peeking behind the curtain. And there's a lot of really juicy information for us to mine here based on season 2, but also further on in the development and their plans for the First Descendant for the coming future. So I thought, as an idea for a video, I basically cherry picked about, I would say, maybe 30 to 35-ish good pieces of information which we can discuss a little bit. I need you to buckle up. This is probably going to be a long-ish video, and I'm going to try and create categories with some, jumps for you in the video. If you're just looking for some specific information, I'll try to get creative with the naming so that you can easily find it. But let's go ahead and dive right in. First things first though, I gotta go grab a drink. Alrighty, so can't do a lot of talking like this without something for the old throat. But in any case, let's go on and get started. I think it was pretty interesting. Basically what I did is I kind of like grouped up everything and so on. One other thing I do want to mention is that it was a little bit difficult for me. I spent a couple of hours putting these together, but it was a little bit difficult for me sometimes finding the original questions, because those messages were either deleted or somehow like lost or something. So you could see the replies, but you couldn't actually open up the actual question, portion of it. So I don't know if this is some issue that they had with, because we're just bombarded by so many questions. But for some of these, we kind of like have to use like intuition and kind of like figure out what the question was. But in any case, enough preamble. The first one we have here I thought was really interesting. Of course, you also kind of like get an idea for what the community is really asking for, which was very interesting. A bunch of people, and when I say a bunch, I mean like upwards of like 50, 70, probably 100 times, I saw people asking for jiggle physics, which seems to be like a really big thing in the game, or needed thing in the game. But nonetheless, one of the things which I saw was very interesting, which this actually pertains to, is the fact that a lot of players are asking for an ability for you to essentially have like your own area in the game, like a house or a base or something like that. And in this area, you can display all of the descendants that you've unlocked, maybe some of the skins, your guns on a fucking rack, something like that. Basically a personal area, like a home base, right? And so and now from now on, I'll just say the game director, or I'll just say game director, or I'll just say director, basically said here that this is something that as a long-term goal they are looking at as a personal space for people to put their stuff out and so on. And also mentioned the fact that what they would also look at is having like key NPCs also in that space. So then instead of like going to Albion, it can be a valid alternative for you to go to, and you can still have some of the vendors, like you'll be able to do some research from there, you'll be able to work with your mods from there, you'll be able to check your mail and that sort of thing. So really cool. That seems to be something that's on the way. Next up was a question sort of like about onboarding new players, and essentially that the new player experience is kind of like cumbersome to a degree. There's a lot of stuff that you have to go through, especially in normal difficulty and so on. And just generally what the developers' plan is with this, what they're going to do with that, and streamlining some of the systems in the game, and specifically the question maker or giver or whatever had made allusions to, for instance, Outpost. So again, this just actually reaffirms the fact that they have this three-prong approach to solving the Outpost situation. The first part of the first prong of the three was already done with lowering the cooldown, furthermore by like 50%. And then the second part will happen in December, when they actually, change the way that you can actually get the patterns that you usually get from Outposts with Sharon. You can actually get those from infiltrations as well. So that basically eliminates the need for you to have Sharon to get access to those patterns, and you can just do this with any normal descendant. Now this is interesting because of course I created a video on that, which I said that this essentially prompts the demise of Sharon, and any a lot of the reasons to have her are seemingly evaporating right now, which will of course force a redesign. But what is interesting for me with this answer that was given here is also the first part, where it essentially says we've been working on various improvements to support new players, and this will continue in season 2. First, some missions in the story phase will be adjusted, and a system to reduce farming difficulty is also in the works. At the start of season 2, we're preparing support through various events to help new players settle in more comfortably. I think this is a big deal. We have a major event planned for season 2, so please look forward to it. So I think it is important that I didn't think that this was going to be an issue, but I think it is important that they obviously always consider onboarding new players and having them come on, and not feel that people that have been playing the game since the preseason or since season 1 have such a massive, and I think they do have an advantage over these players. Of course they do. There should be some incentive for time spent with the game, but that it's not such an insurmountable thing that you cannot get past and go like, there's no fucking point to play the game or to start to play the game. So this is definitely a step in the right direction for that. Next up, we had this question here, which kind of like was a bunch of little questions together, but I sort of picked this as well because it had 2 very interesting pieces of information in. The first one saying that basically the person that asked the question had been complaining about the fact that when Colossi come in at the beginning of a Void Intercept boss, like the animation takes like super long before you can actually start fighting them and everything. I don't know if that's that big a problem for me. I mean, that gives me time to like take a sip from my beer or something like that. But that being said, this is something that they're looking at, because what the question asker had the questioner had basically asked is if there was a way that we could already damage the Colossi even during this sort of like spawn animation. So they're basically saying allowing attacks before Colossi prepares for battle seems challenging, but we'll check if shortening the animation time is possible. They could probably speed it up or something, but I think that would make it look janky or something, so maybe that's not the way. The actual main reason why I copied this answer was the second part here. Basically this is a great idea. In season 2, we plan to adjust the optimization conditions for ultimate reactors from specific weapon usage to weapon category usage. This is huge. All right, so at the moment right now, how reactor imprinting works is, so for example, if you have a nice ultimate reactor and you want to add more weapons to it, you have to pick the specific weapon and add it. So you can have a reactor with Enduring Legacy on and like fucking Python and Thunder Cage, and that's it. But what they're suggesting here is that they will put weapon categories on, which in my mind means the bullet types, right? And not necessarily machine gun. I mean, it could mean that, right? It could be machine gun, handgun, and you know, those could be the categories they're referring to. They're not mentioning that. But the point is that how I understand it is that it would be the bullet types, right? So you could then say, okay, all general rounds. So that means that your reactor would be fine with every single general rounds gun. And it could be all special rounds and all impact rounds. Come to think of it, that actually, my God, that it makes the reactor side of the game like super easy after they launch that. Because pretty much you can get away with putting general and special and high power on all your reactors, and you basically got almost like all the best guns in the game covered, if not all the best guns in the game. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. It could be that they make it that it's like machine guns, pistols, and fucking sniper rifles. I don't know. But this is big, and this is a big change that they're actually making to the reactor situation, which we just recently had a big change made to it with the imprints. So yeah, they're definitely working on this. Pretty dope. Then this one I put in here just because of course we are all wondering what the next ultimate, or whom the next ultimate descendant is going to be. It's kind of like inferred that it's going to be Sharon, but we don't know for sure. But the good news is, as of the recording of this video, which is the 13th of November, I believe, but I'm probably going to publish it on the 14th. On the 15th of November, which is Friday, they are actually going to reveal a special dev video, and this video is going to be very, I guess, similar to what we saw originally for season 1, showing like a bunch of the stuff which is coming in season 1. So like the ultimate descendant, maybe like the weapon that's coming, maybe like, you know, other things, maybe the mega dungeon and all that stuff. That's actually dropping this Friday. So as of you watching this video, if you watch it as soon as it comes out, basically tomorrow we will have that video drop, and in that video they will also reveal the new ultimate descendant as mentioned. So I'll of course be reviewing that video, so keep an eye on the channel if you want to fucking watch it with me. But I just thought this was really good information for anybody who is tingling to know what's coming next. And then on to something which is, I guess, more of like a hot topic. But it's no surprise that at the moment right now, power creep in the game is a real thing. But without discussing power creep as a general concept or something like that, we can just focus on one specific descendant, and that descendant is of course Freyna, more specifically Ultimate Freyna. Ultimate Freyna is in a really good position right now in terms of like from a power perspective. She's kind of like everything. She can do great single point damage with the right transcendent mod. She can do fantastic mobbing, and she's kind of like one of the only characters that I would recommend someone to definitely have right now that you need to go for, right? I think we're pretty much handed Bunny, and I do believe Bunny is a necessity to help you with farming efficiently. But Freyna is definitely a descendant that you obviously have to work for, and Ultimate Freyna is really good. And she deserves a place in your stable because she just makes a lot of the activities which are currently in the game, which are the best for leveling, the best for gathering items and all that stuff. Super easy to do. And so she's just really good. So the main point is now, of course, everybody's waiting for the other shoe to drop. So Freyna's so fucking good, so clearly they got to do something about it, right? That's generally how these games work. And so Freyna's probably going to get tweaked or fucking, you know, brought down and something like that. And this message was really good because essentially this shows that the way that the developer or you know these guys are basically trying to tackle this is that they don't necessarily want to lower her power level, but they actually want to bring the other ones up, right? I think that this is an ongoing thing that we're going to see with this game. And I believe that it has its own problems, but for now, I'm just going to drop in the words power creep, but I'm just going to leave that there. We can talk about it down the line because I think it's going to become a problem. But the main thing right now is that they are focusing on actually bringing other descendants up, which I have no problem with, by the way. There are certainly some candidates which absolutely fucking need this. So what they're saying is, here's the final conclusion regarding Freyna adjustments. No immediate adjustments will be made to Freyna. I mean, they're saying no immediate, right? It could be later on, right? Priority will be given to rebalancing and reworking other descendants, which is a fucking W. Big fan of that. Freyna's power will be balanced through content. So what they're trying to say here is that while they won't be adjusting her down, maybe in season 2 there's content, or some of the content will be such a way that, for example, her contagion build will not be as strong as it is right now, or whatever part of her, you know, maybe season 2 everything has fucking poison resistance. I don't know. But they're gonna do something to essentially limit some of her power. But again, without going, because I'm trying to keep each one of these little things like, you know, less than 2 to 3 minutes, otherwise this is a fucking 600-minute video. But I can talk about this particular issue for fucking hours, because the thing is this, it's clear that because this is the game, the model that they're using is that every season, whichever Ultimate Descendant drops that season is going to be fucking hella OP, all right? And that, of course, incentivizes people to potentially buy it, to skip the grind, or just to grind it, or just to grind in that season. All of these things are important for them to keep people playing the game. And the thing is, it's in their own best interest to not nerf those descendants, because a lot of people spend money actually on getting those descendants instead of grinding them out. Like a bunch of people fucking just swiped for Ultimate Freyna instead of actually grinding her out. By the way, I have no issue with that. That's not a problem for me. But the thing is, that's real money. And so if you do that and then like 90 days later, the fucking developer nerfs that character into the ground, people are gonna fucking lose their shit. So this is something that these guys, this is not their first fucking rodeo, so they're fully aware of this. So they need to then, to combat this, like said, they need to either create some form of content that she's not that fucking great at, but then the new descendant that's coming in will be great at, or what they will continue on to do, and I think it's both of these things that I'm saying now, is they will keep on just bringing more OP shit in, and so the power does creep up to a point. And the issue with that is every time that you do that, you leave a bunch of descendants in the fucking dust that haven't been touched in a while, and they suddenly become like fucking irrelevant. But in any case, I give them the benefit of the doubt. We need to see how it goes. But the bottom line, the TLDR here is your Freyna's not getting touched right now. And if you were for some reason holding back on the shit because it was so good and you were like, dude, there's no fucking way that this is going to stick around for a while, it's going to stick around for a while. So go ahead and get your Ultimate Freyna ready. Then I brought this one in because this was, I saved a bunch of these. I think I saved about 14 of these. We're almost halfway now. This was by far the most interesting one for me, I think, out of the bunch. I even marked it with a little fucking star. But this is all about reactors. So let me read through it first quickly, and then we just discuss the implication of it. But the gist of it is this. you have a bunch of people that are asking for jiggle physics, but you also have a bunch of people that are asking the question like, how do we make the game harder? How do we upgrade our gear even more? What's the next level cap? Like, do we go from 40 to 50, 40 to 45? Like, how do we make gear better? Do we go from gear level 100 to 110, 105, 125? Like, what's next? This was basically meant to address this, but specifically focusing on reactors, I think. But the thing is saying that in Season 2, reactor enhancement will be expanded up to level 5. At the moment right now, you can enhance your reactor twice. Okay? So this means it goes to level 5. But instead of introducing higher level reactors, meaning like a level 105 reactor or, you know, something like that, or a plus reactor or something like that, these additional levels of reactors will actually be unlocked and upgraded through grinding. I think this is a fucking great idea, by the way, because again, from a business perspective, it makes sense because it keeps people playing the game, but it also gives people stuff to do, which is what a lot of people are complaining about. Now, of course, a lot of people are going to say, dude, I don't give a fuck about grinding a reactor because it's no new missions to grind. There's nothing new to that. We don't know that. We don't know what end game activities and things like that, what new stuff they're bringing for us in Season 2. We can assume that there will be new stuff, and we know that there's a mega dungeon. But the bottom line is this is another thing that you can do with your time in the game, which is good, in my opinion. So through grinding, I would assume it would be something like kill 500 fucking guys or finish 10 intercept bosses or, you know, something like that. It'll be something to that degree. All right. We've already seen that they've made mechanics like this with, for example, the armors that would, like, over time, I believe there's one for Ajax and there's one for Bunny, and these morphing armors that essentially after X amount of times of using a skill or killing enemies or something like that, you would basically change the appearance of the armor. So this is nothing new for them. Then this is also saying in Season 2, the optimization requirements for ultimate reactors will be improved. So this I already mentioned. We'll be changing from a specific ultimate weapon to actually weapon groups. And here they say weapon groups, which to me means, again, it's kind of like open. Is it weapon groups like all handguns, all assault rifles, all shotguns, or is it weapon groups as in all general rounds, all impact rounds? To me, it makes sense that it's the bullets. It's how they've been grouping weapons. So I'm hoping that that's it, because that kind of like makes the system really good. And also in the future, if reactors that with higher performance are introduced, we will ensure that players won't have to repeat optimization requirements or random option farming. So I read with this that basically what they're saying is you're probably going to be able to take whichever reactors that you're working on really hard right now and spending a lot of time on, anything like that, you'll perpetually be able to bring them up to the level of whatever good shit they release, so that you're not you don't have a reactor that you've spent 20 hours grinding out on or something like that, and then they release another reactor that's better than that, and you're like, fuck, now I'm stuck with this thing that I worked on so long. Then just carrying on with this whole topic about like more stuff to do and more ways to level our character and what's next and what's the next power, everything like that. Short little one here. They're saying currently they have no plans to raise the level cap above 40. While this might change in the distant future, additional growth will be introduced through a new progression system. And I don't know if I saved the comment. I'm pretty sure I did, but if in case I didn't, it's also mentioned at some point that in, let's say, January, February or something like that, they're bringing online an entirely new progression system, which is based on your Descendant or something like that. Which again, to me, means that there's probably going to be some system where if you, like, let's say you're Bunny main, then every 1,000, if you get 1,000 kills with Bunny, then it improves this thing. And if you get 5,000 kills with this, then it improves this thing, and so on. So there's going to be an additional progression system next to the standard progression system, which is like using better mods and leveling your character to 40 and this and that and everything. So they're keeping it at 40 and they're keeping the gear at 100, but they're bringing in all these like ancillary systems to essentially allow you to further on go up. This is like a straight W, and this actually, I should have probably bought myself a fucking tequila for this, but like, this is that we will make improvements soon to ensure that incompatible, and this is also mentioned somewhere else that it's coming in Season 2, but we will make improvements soon to ensure that incompatible option attributes do not attach to reactors. This is huge. It's one of my biggest fucking complaints with reactors. I like everything that they've done with the reactor situation, and I've got like a whole bunch of like based in slot reactors because of that now have multiple weapon types on them. Fucking yay, let's go. But the big issue that I still have with reactors that drop is something drops that's like electric and fucking singular, and then it has like fire damage on it and dimension as its substats. This shouldn't happen, in my opinion. Those pools should be limited to only roll, because it's not like there's not a lot of options inside there that can in any case roll, from cooldown reduction to this and that, fucking all that, plus the elements. To then have elements which have no reason to belong on that reactor still part of the pool just makes something that is already like super RNG and fucking frustrating to a lot of people just additionally very, very unrewarding. So this is a big change. Super happy about that. Then next we have kind of like a mixture. I copied this, I called it generalities because there's a bunch of like little answers and things in here. First one saying that we're preparing a variety of in-game content for season 2. Good to know. More things for us to do. Hopefully that is something that keeps the players busy. Then they're saying, while we continue to improve customization options, believe it's more important to provide attractive skins as complete sets rather than further dividing parts. This was to a question that somebody said, like, are you planning on just making like head pieces and just making like body pieces and just making like chest pieces and selling them separately? And so the idea is they're focusing on making sets rather than that. So in a way, they feel like they give people more value for money. Then a big question that the community has always asked is, obviously in trailers for the game, we've always seen Colossi like out in the open world, in the field and stuff like that. When are we going to get that? And they do mention that this is part of the development team's long-term vision. Now, guys, long-term vision could be like 5 fucking years. So let's not get off skirts fully hiked up for this. But this does mean that it is something that's in their periphery and they are looking at that, of course. Then another question was whether we could have more players in the field at once. So whether it's like in a void intercept boss fight where you have like your 4 people, or whether it's like in a case of like in the open world where there's also a cap on the amount of players that you can have, which I also believe is 4 if I'm not mistaken. So they have no plans to actually increase that amount, but what they are looking at is content that allows more participants. So maybe like, I don't know, maybe they can make like a void intercept boss which actually has like, you can queue up with like fucking 7 other dudes as 8 players like fighting against it, which would be pretty damn sweet. Like a massive boss, or like 2 bosses together and it's like 8 of you fighting against both, or something like that. That would be pretty good. And then I think that's pretty much it. They do mention again the fact that they want to make this own space for like players and everything like that. And then also they say that photo mode is obviously in high demand. Players are talking about it all the time. And they are working on this, but at the moment right now they can't share like an active date for that or something. Moving on to I guess an item which they got a lot of criticism for in season 1 was the whole concept of drip fed content. Let me get this out right away. I'm not a fan of this at all. I think it's a terrible fucking design methodology to essentially you know, gatekeep content or drip feed the content to your audience because you just don't have enough of it. This is something the developer has actually openly come out and said. First of all, they didn't expect the players to consume the shit as fast as they did and to gear up and be powerful and get as far along as fast as they did. So this was a big eye opener for them. And secondly, this obviously made them have to like fucking kick, you know, production into high gear and everything like that. And I think that we saw the effect of this in season 1, where there just wasn't enough content for season 1. I fully believe that this developer learns from their mistakes or their design decisions, if I can call it that. Let's not call it mistakes. I mean, it's certainly something that they can believe that, hey, this will work. I mean, it doesn't end up being right, but I mean, they fucking decided it. And I don't think there was anything malicious behind it. People are just fucking voracious, and obviously like the game's not as hard as they think it is. Let's be honest. So I'm not going to read this whole thing here, but the gist of it is the fact that what they are saying is that they understand that what they did in season 1 was not great. But at the same time, it's unrealistic that they will, at the start of season 2, the day that season 2 drops, they put out every single thing that they planned for season 2 in one fat fucking patch, and then we don't hear again from them in like 3 months. And this I understand. I personally, for example, believe that the seasons are too long. I think 90 days is too long, but I understand why they would choose to do it this way if they keep on adding new content within those 90 days. One thing that really upset me about season 1 was the fact that, yes, it was drip fed content, but it was also drip fed in a weird fucking way. Like, you had the Descendants being released, but you had their Transcendent mods fucking like, what was it, 45 days later or something like that, which is weird. And that's something that most likely, well, hopefully, this is what the post here mentions, is that they're not going to do again. But they do want to be able to, and they will continue to drop content at the beginning of season 2, which is, I would imagine, the majority, like the fucking meat and bones of the season, and then continue to drop stuff. Like, we know that there's gonna be a fucking Christmas event for sure and things like that, so they will keep on doing this. And it's possible, like, let's say, for example, and I don't know this, we'll find this out, you know, basically tomorrow, that they will maybe, like, let's say, only drop mega dungeons like halfway through the season. I don't fucking know. It's possible. But this is something that I think that they also do because the idea is to get people to come back and play the game. I know that's a super frustrating thing for people, and it's understandable. I think that it's okay whichever side of the coin you land on with this. I, as a content creator, will be playing the game in any case. I know that's a fucking weak excuse, and I'm not trying to apologize for them, but I'm saying, like, regardless, I'll be playing it. But I don't know. I'm not of the mindset that somebody who plays this game and then, you know, basically they release content and like, oh fuck, the thing that I'm looking for is only coming out 45 days from now. I don't know if that guy or girl comes back. That's the thing. And there's really no way for us to know that. The player base for this has been fairly stable, I would say, in the last couple of weeks, but it's definitely dwindled from where it was before. And so whether season 2 brings a bunch of new players, you know, in, and also old players back, I guess we'll see. My suspicion is we will see some coming back, but I don't think we hit those numbers again that we were at the start. And that's just the nature of the beast. This game had a really, really strong start and had some amazing numbers, and people were pulling some insane hours in the game, and obviously then burnt themselves out, burnt through all the content, everything like that. And there's a certain group of the player base who gets so pissed off by that they just never fucking come back, and then just proceed to fucking slag the game off for like the next 3 months. You know, go figure. But the point is that I think that they kind of like hopefully have learned from it. And so I think maybe what's going to happen is if they do decide to drip feed content or something like that, I think they're just not going to mention the fact that content's coming. They'll just keep it fucking hush hush until like a day or two out from releasing it. Because that's honestly like probably like the safest way to do that. If you are going to drip feed, don't tell people about it. Just fucking drip feed the shit. Just shadow drip feed that shit. Like, give them everything that you show in a fucking movie or something, like a trailer or something beforehand, and then you got like a couple of things in your back pocket. Just keep that shit. Keep it hush hush, and then like 3 days, 4 days before it comes out, put the shit on Twitter or whatever. Put out a fucking trailer and boom, drop that. That's still drip fade content. It's just people don't know that it's coming. So, I mean, there's ways around this shit. Then a quick one on, of course, I think this comes as no surprise to anybody, but just to say, just because a Descendant is in a good place right now or a Descendant is in a bad place is not a forever fucking problem. They plan to rework and actively work on Descendants old and new during season 2, but I think as a given, I think that we need to understand that this is in their own best interest to adjust the knobs and the levers in the back and to look at specific Descendants and so on that they, you know, need to be addressing, because either they have like, I mean, they've got the data. I'm sure that they can see who gets played with the most and who, you know, who's underperforming, who features the least in fucking void intercepts or whatever. I'm assuming they have that. It's a fucking online game, so hopefully they've got that. But this leads me right into this one here, and I mean, I think there's definitely some players out there who love Luna, but they hate the way that Luna works. So it is interesting that they specifically mention her by name, but saying that Luna is scheduled for a rework during season 2. Also believe Luna is a very appealing Descendant, and I hope that the rework will improve her performance, encouraging more players to use her. I think when it comes to Luna, at least my experience with it is that it's a more involving way of playing a Descendant. You definitely have to fucking work harder than you do with other Descendants, and then when you do put in that work, it's not necessarily worth it. I think Luna as a buffing character with, like, you know, fucking Lepic or any other like high skill based character is ridiculous, the amount of damage that you can pull out. I love it, but yeah, I think, and again, I don't mean to speak for anybody right now. I mean, I've got my way that I enjoy the game, and you guys that are watching the video, same fucking thing. But the point is, we can talk in generalities, and we can say that the average person that plays the game, right, probably doesn't want to struggle. They just want to fucking press 2 or 3 or 4 buttons, deal a bunch of damage, see big numbers, and, you know, go fucking sleep. Again, nothing wrong with that. You do you, boo. But the point is that Luna is definitely not a descendant that does that. Like Freyna is a descendant that does that, and Freyna is very popular. Bunny, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Bunny the Vampire Slayer. So Bunny is example of a character like that. I mean, you pretty much use one ability exclusively. I think people can take the fucking Q and the R button or the Z button or whatever you're using for your first ability and your fourth ability of Bunny. They can just fry that shit. You need a 2-button keyboard for bunnies. That's what I'm saying. Simplicity often wins, and Luna's not a simple character. There's gonna be a bunch of guys in comments now going like, Luna's easy to play, bro. Like, yeah. She's not as easy to play as like Freyna or fucking Ajax or whatever. These guys are all easier to play than Luna is. And this is obviously something. I'm not saying they're making her easier to play, but they're probably going to translate her shit into such a way where it flows better and obviously has, you know, a higher impact. She's definitely not fun to play solo. She's like a group character. And then this I just introduced or included because I made mention of it at the beginning, but I cannot tell you guys how fucking often Jiggle Physics was mentioned on this Discord, dude. It's insane. At one stage, I thought it was so laughable, so I just searched on Jiggle Physics, and it actually spat out so many replies that I scrolled through like 5 or 6 pages of people asking for it or asking when is it coming in or asking why it isn't in or something like that, that I was just like, yo, what the fuck? But it seems like they've caved, because this was one of the last responses that was on the Discord. This was, and again, this is one of the developers actually saying that it's already past midnight in Korean time. I had a busy day checking the Q&A channel, but then saying, after a lengthy discussion with the AD today, a decision has been made to add the much requested Jiggle Physics. Shit's coming, bro. This was decided only a short while ago, so the details of when and how season fucking 69, I guess. So the details of when and how it will be implemented in the game is not yet finalized and will be shared in future updates. I hope this will be a pleasant surprise for our dear successors who have been waiting for it. So, hey, if anything, this proves that from a persistence perspective, if you ask for something enough, no matter how fucking ludicrous, please don't blow up the comments telling me how cool Jiggle Physics are. I fucking get it. I get it. But if you persistently ask for something, dude, that's probably gonna get put in the game. So fucking go. If you aren't on the official Discord, I believe they're still answering questions. If I see more sexy stuff, of course, I will bring it to the channel. I believe this video is long enough now. I think we're up as of 30 minutes. So if you spent the entire time with me, I appreciate you very much. Thank you. And I will see you for the dev video, which is dropping in pretty much 24 hours from now. And we can have a look at that. And we can salivate on what season 2 has to offer. Other than that, fucking cheers.